The very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society.
Let us never tolerate outrageous conspiracy theories. Conspiracy theories.
Conspiracy theories.
Because it is not the government of the people any longer.
Circus ridiculous.
A new world order. A world where the rule of law governs the conduct of nations.
Most people do not understand the Illuminati.
It's all about control.
Conspiracy theories.
It is a system which has conscripted vast human and material resources into the building of a tightly knit, highly efficient machine that combines military, diplomatic, intelligence, economic, scientific, and political operations.
A new world order.
Its preparations are concealed, not published. Its mistakes are buried, not headlined. Its dissenters are silenced, not praised.
It's the Weekend Vigilante Show.
Well, hello, listeners, and welcome to the Weekend Vigilante Show. I'm your host, Sheila Zilinsky. Today, it's my pleasure to introduce my special guest, Bruce Mathison. Bruce is a former NFL quarterback who played for the San Diego Chargers, the Buffalo Bills, and the Seahawks, and he's no stranger to tackling tough issues, no pun intended. And today we're going to talk about how to take back your health in perilous times. Bruce, welcome to the program.
Thanks so much, Sheila. It's a pleasure to be here today.
Today on my show, Bruce, I want to share with my listeners what I think is one of the biggest problems that we face in North America, and that is our health. And I want to also share solutions because let's face it, Bruce, our bodies are getting pummeled 6 ways to Sunday here when it comes to daily living, our environment, our air, our water, our diet, and don't get me started on GMOs. But one of the biggest things we as people can do, I believe, is proactively take care of these bodies that God gave us. And I always say it's hard to fight the machine when you're sick, tired, and obese. So over the years, I've extensively researched and personally tried many products. I've had several renowned high-profile doctors on my show, and I came across a New York Times best-selling book called Toxic Relief by Dr. Don Colbert, and being already a fan of this remarkable doctor who's written some 40 books, it really opened my eyes to what's going on in our environment with our food, our water, and I really started to understand what our bodies are up against here. So shortly after reading this book, I found out about a breakthrough nutrition company that Colbert served on the medical advisory board, and they talked about glutathione, something I had never heard of. So in a nutshell, Bruce, explain what is glutathione?
Well, like you, Sheila, I had never heard of it. Didn't know it existed. Didn't know anything about it. And you're right. You're totally correct. Even though we're living longer, it doesn't mean we're living better.
Right.
And I was introduced to this company called Max a few years ago by the gentleman by the name of Stephen K. Scott. He was the founder of Max International. And he was introduced to a couple of researchers a number of years ago, and that's what they were studying. They were studying the effects of glutathione on the body. And what is it? What is glutathione? Well, it's probably the most important molecule we'll ever need just to stay healthy. We all make it in our bodies. It's our preventive system against all kinds of stuff, especially toxins and inflammation and junk that we breathe, the junk that we eat, the things that we're around, our environment, everything around us. And I find it funny. I've got a black Jeep that sits in the garage. Like when I put it in for the night and I come out the next morning, it's covered in stuff. Even though it's in the garage, there's all kinds of crap on it.
Yeah.
And I go, can you imagine what it's like? I mean, open the sunshade and watch the sun trickle through your window and see all the things that are floating. On top of we have children. If you have children, they go to school, they're all wiping their noses and pressing each other's hands and give each other hugs, and we pass around bacteria and viruses. And so we're constantly being bombarded by all of this stuff. And so what glutathione does, we make it naturally in the body according to the research. Now, I had to talk to doctors. I had to go find out. I'm not educated. I don't carry a degree in any of that special stuff. But listen to them in their symposiums and what they're saying in front of a stage, in front of their peer group, is that glutathione is one of those things the body manufactures. It's very difficult to replicate. And this particular company, we're not swallowing glutathione, Sheila. We're actually swallowing some components that can get into the cell membrane, get to there. And our little cells now can manufacture more of it. And that's important and crucial because as we get older, we stop making so much. And that's kind of why we age. And remember, it's a premier mechanism to fight off all this bad stuff. They call them free radicals. if people know what we're talking about, they call those things, if we can't control those little boogers sometimes, they get out of control. They can wreak havoc in our body. Right. And that's what glutathione's job is. And if you burn it, a lot of it, or if you don't make enough or produce enough of it, then we can run into some severe health challenges down the road. And that's really all it is. But its main function, to be honest with you, it can control the toxins in our body, to get rid of them, the heavy metals and all the stuff that we breathe in and eat and around. But it also then helps with inflammation, which is crucial because everybody understands that, hey, inflammation left uncontrolled can develop into certain diseases. We know that to be true. We're really giving our body the best chance to help itself, Sheila.
Well, in fact, I just read an article, which is really interesting, but I read an article where they said the underlying issue of every single disease is inflammation. Isn't that fascinating? And I love what Don Colbert says. Douglas Harrington, of course, who is the Stanford heart transplant team, and he's board certified in pathology and hematology. They both said, and I love the fact that they're part of the non-paid Max Medical Advisory Board, but one of the things Harrington and Colbert say is that this is really interesting, that glutathione is not only remarkable in detoxification capabilities, but its anti-inflammatory properties are off the charts. There's nothing like it. And glutathione is a molecule that is an intracellular antioxidant in the whole body. It's like the master antioxidant, if you will, that quenches free radicals and also those free radical reactions and suppresses inflammation while it detoxifies heavy metals. And you just touched on, you look at your Jeep, you see all these layers of things. I mean, we are inundated and bombarded by heavy metals. And so look at all these mitochondria that produce these oxidative free radical damage, and the mitochondria affects our ability to not only produce energy, but it produces free radicals, so it accelerates the aging process, it affects the brains, the lungs, the heart. But what I found so interesting is ribosine is essentially beautifully packaged, like the delivery mechanism that gives the body's components to produce its own master antioxidant. So this isn't like putting something in the body. This is really something the body already produces, isn't it, Bruce?
It absolutely is. And sometimes we produce more of it. Sometimes we produce less of it. Talking with Dr. Colbert, him and Dr. Harrington have become friends because they're around us all the time, and we ask them questions. We ask them to do some research and some study. And there's another, Dr. Gordon Crozer, who works with the brain. He works with some Parkinson's patients, and he works with head trauma. And for him, the big interest is, like for my background, concussions. We've studied so much about concussions, and the former players of the National Football League are now suing the league because of all the damage that was done, because their helmet wasn't probably as good as it should have been in protecting that noggin of theirs. But at the same time, you're correct. Inflammation is something that destroys not just the human body, but especially for my thing, I like to get involved in is all the athletes out there that are putting their bodies through all of this exercise, all of this trauma, all of this stuff. And on top of all their heavy, heavy exercises, they don't always eat right, but they try really hard. But to be honest with you, they do so much damage to their body. There's very few athletes out there that live to beyond 100. And I was talking with Dr. Crozer and Dr. Harrington especially says, well, look, he's a heart specialist. He says they race their hearts all the time. There's maximum output of their heart. So they're pumping it constantly, on top of the heavy stress, the heavy strain, the burden of lifting weights, getting out, trying to push up as much as you can in the joints and the muscles. They're kicking out all these free radicals. And if their body isn't full of glutathione, if their own antioxidant mechanism isn't working for them, then there's issues. Then you start to have problems. Your performance level starts to go down. Your concentration isn't there. Your focus isn't there. And you can't compete, especially if they get injured, especially if they break their leg or blow their knee or get knocked out. Something happens to them. Now what are we going to do for recovery? Typically, people will give them medicine. We know medicine serves a purpose. Something's broken, you have to fix it. But it's not a life. We shouldn't be on it for our lifetime. We shouldn't have to take medication our entire life. We should be free of that. And that's one of the reasons that the science and researchers that found this breakthrough nutritional product called Max GXL or Celgevity, the reason why they're so excited, there's no drugs or chemicals in it. They wanted it that way. They didn't want to give it to the big pharma and the drug company and spread it that way. We're safe. We're legal. We've had it tested all throughout your country, my country. We've had third-party validation of, yes, this is exactly what happens if you take this product. We can see it in the blood. It's registered. It's legal. It's unbelievable what it can do for the two markets that we were addressing, one being some people that have some severe health challenges. For me, it's the athletic market because of what they do to their body on a day-to-day basis. They need this product more than anybody.
As you were talking, I was thinking, especially nowadays when we're so bombarded and inundated by all this GMOs in our air and our water, our diet, the EMF, the Wi-Fi. I mean, again, we're being bathed in a soup of chemical toxicity. And ironically, we think that exercising, but here's the thing, and you touched on this, exercising actually, especially heavily, really depletes glutathione. And, of course, medicines, alcohol, toxic diet, sugars, inflammatory, grains, other things. Stress drains glutathione. Aging drains glutathione. It's interesting because glutathione's in every cell of the body, I mean, especially the heart muscle, which has more mitochondria, but it needs more glutathione, and the liver needs it for detox. But the very thing you think you're doing is you're actually depleting glutathione. That's kind of ironic.
That's absolutely true. It's one big merry-go-round, and it keeps happening. And there's no stopping it. It's a give and take, give and take, give and take. And eventually somebody wins. And too often than not, the bad guys win. The free radicals take over. They're left unattended. We're not concerned about, it's amazing to me, just totally amazing to me that we have products on the market today, especially for that athletic market. I've sat in front of a bunch of coaches in a couple of different cities now, and they've got this little panel together, and I'm demonstrating what our product can and can't do. I mean, I do both. Here's what it can do, here's what it can't do, but for the most part, and they want to question it. I mean, it's hilarious. They go, we can't give that to our kids. We can't. That's good for you? Oh, no. And they stand there in front of me with all these energy drinks, and you know which kind they are. And all the bad publicity so far. Yeah. Not only that, they have a Coca-Cola or Mountain Dew, and they're standing there drinking this stuff, or a big coffee of some sort that came from some company. And they won't even question that. And here he's eating a greasy hamburger and some other stuff, and I give them something that's certified by the BSCG, which is the Banned Substance Control Group, or certified by the NSF. We've had third-party validation go through our product, rip it apart, guarantee that it's safe for people to take, especially the athletes. No athlete has ever failed a urine or a blood test if this Banned Substance Control Group has gone through their product. Because every batch they go through, if they find anything, they take that certification away. So it's critical and important. But yet they will sit there and question what's in it. And what's also ironic, though, I mean, Bruce, because as a former, it's a good segue to a very burning question I have, because as a former NFL quarterback, and let's face it, that's no easy task. I mean, you've been exposed to the best of the best doctors, the best sports medicine specialists, the best coaches, nutritionists. You must have been constantly inundated with many different kinds of products, and professional athletes have to have stamina and peak physical conditioning and cutting-edge performance. I mean, obviously you're playing in the professional football league. You're getting pummeled. There's all these performance enhancers and steroids and supplements and wide range of products. I mean, you're in a big world with big men and big injuries. What did you personally find different about being on other products compared to the glutathione and the Max products? Well, it's kind of fun, as I was fortunate enough to be in the NFL before drug testing. That was a crazy time. There wasn't, nobody had an iPhone. ESPN was just barely getting started. You couldn't track the players. And so they had freelance to go anywhere and do anything they want. And people couldn't find them or follow them, couldn't tweet them, couldn't talk to them, couldn't take pictures of them. So you can imagine what that world was like in the 70s and 80s. And then I was in that transition, and all the guys that were coming out of college at this time were doing steroids. They had to, because somebody started it. Thank Arnold Schwarzenegger and his band of merry men that came in and, started that whole chemical world to build these massive, massive muscles on these small bodies. Yeah. And that just ran rampant. And you couldn't do it naturally. The guys that were trying to do it naturally couldn't compete with the guys that were doing it chemically. But here's the catch-22 and all that. They look good. They feel sometimes good, but in the end, it was killing them. It was destroying their body from the inside out. We've got a lot of guys. Right now, I think the average life expectancy of a National Football League player is 59 years old. So why do you think that is? It's because of all the chemicals. It's because of all the trauma. It's because of what they do to their bodies. They can't survive it without taking something. And a lot of them, drink alcohol. They smoke cigars. They have parties like everybody else. They eat kind of crappy once in a while. They work out like crazy. And some guys are still trying to cheat the system. They're still relying on some form of a chemical to get them through. And thank goodness the National Football League has finally said, look, guys, you're really killing yourself. So we're going to kind of put a stop to it. Baseball still has some issues. They want to deny it all the time. But at the same time, sports is not something you want to keep adding these toxins to because your body can't make it. you look at the life expectancy of athletes, and it's very short. And you look at somebody who's down in another country, and they're smoking black cigars, and they're drinking this black coffee, and they live to be 103 and 104. That's not fair. Here we're taught in America, and especially in the sports world, you got to work out, you got to run, you got to jog, you got to be a marathon. You can't eat this crap, you can't eat this, and yet we're dying all over the place. And that these guys are sitting back, don't run a step, doesn't do one sit-up. I looked at a guy on Facebook the other day, he's 107 years old, never ran a step in his life.
Wow.
But he's not around the environment that we're around these days. I mean, some of these people aren't around these heavy toxins and polluted cities and exhaust and all the things that go on top of depleting their own levels of this glutathione due to exercise and everything else that they're doing. So it's really a merry-go-round, and we just want to make sure we don't get off, that we can get off that merry-go-round and not be sick. When I was introduced by Steve Scott to this product, I was very reluctant like everybody else. I was accustomed to swallowing some 30-odd capsules every day because thanks to one-a-day vitamins, they used to have just one-a-day vitamin, and then that company figured out, hey, let's take every ingredient in this little one-a-day, and let's separate it and put it in bottles. And now all of a sudden you got GNC Health Food Store, you got everybody else, and you walk in there, it's just mind-blowing, all the things that are out there. All important, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to shoot them down, all important. So when I talked to Steve about this new breakthrough stuff, I was very, very hesitant. I said, look, Steve, I'm swallowing like 30 of these pills a day. He said, Bruce, just try it. He said, see what you think. I said, okay, fine. So he sent me the product, and the object was to take 3 of these pills in the morning. They're caplets, 3 caplets in the morning and 3 in the afternoon. And then let's give us a few days and let's see what happens. Well, guess what, Sheila, to be honest with you? He called me 4 or 5 days and said, Bruce, how do you feel? I said, Steve, I don't feel anything. There's no change, no difference. And he goes, well, he says, let's do this. He says, try 3 more. I go, really?
Because, I mean, you're a big boy. You're like 6'3", over 200 pounds.
I'm 6'4", 240.
Oh, there you go.
But not only that, I'm also 55 years old. So the deal is that I didn't feel any effect on the normal dose. So he just said, hey, just let's up it a little and see what happens. I said, Steve, I got to admit, there's really nothing's working. I don't feel any different, nothing. Try 3 more. I said, well, how much of this stuff do I have to take? And he said, just try, you trust me? I go, well, we'll see. And he calls, and I said, Steve, your product probably isn't for me. It looks like you got some great research. Looks like you got some great science. Looks like you got some backing. But I go, I just don't feel anything. He says, let's do just 3 more. I said, okay. Now, remember, that's only 15. I'm used to 30, so it wasn't a big deal to me. In this case, it can't hurt me. So I take 15 tablets, 15 of these capsules, for 2 days. Sheila, that next day, the second day of 15, when I went to bed that night, I slept like a baby. Now, I had trouble sleeping. Remember, I've had 3 major concussions. I mean, loss of memory, and a half a dozen minor ones. I've had shoulder surgery. I had back surgery. L5S1, I got about a 1/4 inch of disc space left there. So sciatic pain and discomfort and sleeping has always been around. Since the time I turned 36, I just was accustomed to it. I've got a floating bone in my right foot. I've got a floating bone in my right elbow. I've had broken hand, broken thumb. I've done all this damage to my sprains, bruises, contusions, you name it, right?
So, yeah, you were a mess.
I get out of bed, Sheila, and then I had bent over, and I had to keep my knees bent, straighten my back, and then stand up. I mean, it was just totally, but I got used to that. I mean, it took me 10 or 15 minutes. So here I am, the second day of 15, plus I've been taking it for, 3 weeks, building this up. I sleep really good. Typically I get up and use a restroom at night, too. And when I got out of bed this time, I just stood up. Nothing major, nothing mind-blowing. I didn't do calisthenics, but I just stood up. And I just noticed, wow, I feel pretty good. Of course, so then I stand there, I stomp my foot around, I swing my arm around a little bit, I bend at the waist, and I'm making all this commotion. And my wife will go, she goes, what are you doing? I said, I don't feel anything. She reaches for the phone. She starts dialing 911. She thinks I'm having a heart attack, a stroke. I go, no.
Or a mental breakdown.
Yeah, I lost it. She's totally lost it. I says, no, I don't feel anything in a good way. She goes, what do you mean? I says, I don't hurt. Now, it didn't take all the pain away. It diminished it so much. It was major for me. But here's the only other thing I noticed. That good night's sleep, I woke up, I was feeling pretty good. Here's the other thing, and this is probably the most important. My wife is notorious for giving me a honey-do list. Do the dishes, pick up the mail, go get the dry cleaning, feed the animals. Bruce, they're getting skinny, And I had that short-term memory loss all the time. Like, where's my wallet? Where's my keys? What I have for breakfast this morning. Everybody has that as they get a little older.
What did I have for breakfast this morning?
Did I wash my hair while I was in the shower? I mean, it's getting pretty bad.
Well, I'm sure the males out there will be happy to know that even an NFL ex-quarterback has to have a to-do list from his wife. I'm sure they'll be chuckling over that.
Oh, I have an encyclopedia of to-do lists. I just haven't been able to catch up. Why? Because I couldn't remember half the things. She would come home and get so mad because I said, honey, I go, write them down or I won't remember them. And they weren't written down. I didn't remember them. So she walks through the door that afternoon. I said, hey, you said do the dishes, pick up the dry cleaning, get the mail. I fed the dogs and the cats, made the bed. And she goes, wow. She goes, did you do all those things? I said, no, but I remembered every single one. I still got in trouble, Sheila. But here's the point. It wasn't important to her, but it was really important to me, and here's why. That fine focus was unbelievable that day. I could remember dates, names, places. I felt like I was a young kid. And the reason why that's so important is because I lost my mother to Alzheimer's. Right. Full-blown dementia to Alzheimer's, and it took her life. And they were filling her so full of drugs. At the end of that, they were taking her life from her. And it was ugly and awful to watch. Yeah. And because of the physical beating that I took playing football, not just in the NFL, but all the way when I was just a little kid, starting playing at that age in the 5th grade, all the way through junior high school, college, and then the pros. So it was, and especially when I heard all of these reports about these, you talk to a lot of former players, and they have a hard time putting sentences together anymore. They're like drunk boxers. And especially boxers, look at that world, how crazy those guys get at the end of their career.
Yeah, just totally punch drunk.
They're incoherent, yeah. So I was getting nervous, so I felt really good. So that was incredibly noticeable. Dates, names, places, where's my keys? I know exactly where they are. They're next to my computer because when I came home last night, that's where I set them. Where's my wallet? They're in my jeans that I took off. They're laying next to the laundry. I go, what's going on? This is not normal.
You had more energy, you had more focus, clarity. What else was going on for you? And obviously you had less inflammation and improved joint function. Did you notice any other remarkable things on it?
Pain. The chronic pain that would go down my leg, it started to subside about the second week. I still had it, and I didn't tell Steve. It started to diminish a little bit, but that next morning of that much. So the real deal is, Sheila, I didn't have to wait for Steve to call. I called him. I said, look, I got to tell you what's happened in the last 24 hours. And I said, is this typical of your product that you got? Is this what people expected to see? And I said, why did I have to take so much? He says, Bruce, you're 55 years old. He goes, what do you expect?
Well, it takes your body 55 years to get to a certain point, right?
Yeah,
and you beat yours up pretty good.
He says, you're just low. Your tank was low. He said, you just had to fill it up. I says, well, am I going to always have to take this much? He goes, no, probably not. You could probably drop back to. But since then, I mean, I've been on this product now, 4 years? Almost 4 years. I feel great. I mean, I can exercise again. I play volleyball with my daughter. I'm back helping tutoring kids playing football as quarterback. I'm doing things that I couldn't do 10 years ago. So is that important to everybody? No. It's crucial to me because I didn't want to become the NFL statistic. I'm 55. Right. I go, look, if the average is 59, I got 4 good years left. I better do something.
Well, it's funny Steve put you on so much right away because doctors always say it takes about 30 days to get something in your system. And, of course, that's usually an antidepressant, and it's 80% of Americans are hopped up on some type of big pharma because people can't sleep, they don't have mental clarity, they're stressed, they have inflammation, they have joint problems, they have no immune systems, they're looking like crap, they're feeling like crap. But you want to talk about fountain of youth. This really is anti-aging in a pill. But the cool thing is you were talking because, of course, listeners would think, but I don't want to have to take, 20 pills. The beauty thing about this, though, I think, is the science of ribosine is amazing because essentially it's two natural compounds. It's a sugar and an amino acid used by the body. It's not like you can overdose on glutathione. But here's the question. Why can't you just run down to the store and buy glutathione? Because we know there's 100,000 publications. PubMed is the official U.S. government library of medical research, and it reveals the role that glutathione plays in the protection and function of every cell in the human body and the support of optimal health and function. There's nothing like it. And the bottom line is, yes, this product raises glutathione levels in the body up to 300%, but why can't we just run down to the health food store and grab a bottle of glutathione, Bruce?
Because here's the kicker. It's not glutathione. None of it is glutathione. See, there really is, when you go down to a health food store and look at a bottle, it says glutathione. You can't swallow glutathione. The human body produces glutathione. You can't buy it. And that's the real trick with these researchers. 30 years, Dr. Herb Nagasawa, trial and error, 30 years of his life until he finally found these components that would work. And here's the other thing about you mentioned earlier, the mitochondria of the cell membrane itself. It's too difficult to penetrate that. It is so tiny. You're made up of 1 trillion cells. Think of how tiny those are. It's just, the science blows me away. When I did my diligence, I listened and sat and went to these doctors and asked questions. I actually let the doctors ask the doctors questions. It blew me away, the painstaking research and the trial and error these guys had gone through to get this handled and get this done. This wasn't meant to be sold. I mean, they were really working with some people that had some very, very difficult challenges ahead in their life physically.
Yeah.
And they couldn't figure out why until they started looking at all the components. They started taking blood apart, started looking at cell structure, and all of a sudden they found that little molecule. And the very sick patients had very low levels, and the ones that weren't quite as sick had higher levels. They go, ooh, maybe there's a common denominator here. And that's when they started looking at it, how we can't make it. Now, you can go get liquid glutathione, and the guy that does probably the best explanation of the differences that are out there is Dr. Crozier. He did this in his last meeting. And if I tried to repeat it, I'd screw it all up. That's not my expertise. But there's a direct answer why this works and why other ones are, even in the hospitals when you do IV form, it's very temporary and very intrusive. I mean,
well, it's not only temporary, but it's outlandish. No person who can afford a $3,000 intravenous shot all the time, and it doesn't last. And plus, people have said to me, well, Sheila, I can just go buy glutathione. Well, here's the thing. It's completely broken down in the GI tract. But ribosine, what's so amazing, essentially gives your body the components to produce its own glutathione. And that's really the key piece, isn't it, Bruce?
It truly is. Ribocystine and brought together. It's called ribosine. Now, here's the greatest thing in all the world, and this is why I admire this company so much, and this is why I want to work with them for the next 25 years. They own everything that has to do with ribosine. That's Dr. Nagasawa. And by the time he's done, Sheila, this guy's going to win it. He's in his 80s, but he's going to win a Nobel Prize because of what he's doing. Being able to put those precursors together, get them through the stomach lining, into the blood, into those tiny cell membranes, and allow those cells to absorb this stuff and then create its own glutathione. Not only that, it creates ATP, creates the energy source that's used. Ribosine, he owns it lock, stock, and barrel. Yeah. And this is his baby. He's got it protected in 100,000 different ways. And he wanted it to get to the masses. He wanted to keep it out of the drug companies. He wanted to get it in so people could afford it. That's why he made it a supplement and not a drug.
Well, what's beautiful, it was never about the money, and it was always really about challenges with people in his own circle, but it was also about helping people. That's really always been his mission in life, and I was a big fan right away because he is not a fan of pharmaceutical or any of this aesthetic stuff. But here, and I personally have experienced amazing results with this product. Cellgevity has helped me recover from chronic pain like you. I had neck injury. I had an old sports injury with my right knee. But the biggest difference I saw was 3 other areas of my life, and it was my mood. I just felt good. And before Max, I felt like a Peterbilt truck hit me every morning. I just felt like crap. It infused me with energy and vitality. And the biggest difference I noticed, Bruce, was in my physical appearance. I looked younger, and it was shocking how many people were saying, what are you doing? Are you having something done? You look amazing. And I actually took a before and after picture, and I looked 10 years younger, Bruce. That's not uncommon, though, is it?
It is not. And, there's a lot of companies out there that sell cosmetics to help fill in the pores that they open, to help do this, get rid of wrinkles and all this kind of stuff. But naturally, your skin also is made up of a lot of tiny little cells. And just imagine if you can get those cells operating the way they're supposed to, you can just conclude that, hey, if my cells are functioning the way they're supposed to be, they're kicking rid of all this toxins and garbage, I'm going to feel better, like you said, but you're also going to look better. You're going to look better because your skin has glutathione in it as well. And so remember, it affects every single cell. Now, anybody that's listening to this, please don't get us wrong. We're not the end-all, cure-all for things. And trust me, we don't cure any type of diseases that are out there. But here's what we do know. Based on Health Canada, and Health Canada is one of those government healthcare systems that are very, very strict, very rigid, very difficult to get anything across. So when we went to them and we took ribosine, we took just ribosine with Dr. Nagasawa's permission, and they did a 3-year study. At the end of their study, Health Canada, very, very well known, very respected, said this. They gave us a claim, said if you take the Max product, it absolutely, without question, will raise the levels of glutathione in the cell. That's all they said. But it took them 3 years to tear it apart. So they gave us a claim. They guaranteed. Now we can guarantee that if you take our product, we can raise the levels of glutathione in the cell. So what does that mean? That means all the things that you just said about your results, the things that I said about my results, Chris Mullen, all the athletes that we have on our product, their results, the people that are in our audiences and their results, it works. Absolutely works without question. And it's guaranteed.
Well, and that is the big thing. And here's the question, Bruce. So bottom line, people with higher glutathione levels have more energy, they recover faster from exercise, they sleep better, they have better mental clarity and focus, less inflammation, improved joint function, better immune systems, they live longer, they live better, and they look younger. So, I mean, again, you want to talk about a fountain of youth and a pill, this really is anti-aging plus. You know, and again, it's something our body already makes. It's not putting some dangerous synthetic drug or big pharma. I take zero medication personally, and big pharma and synthetic products are killing us, Bruce. I mean, look at the stress, depression, the suicides, the cancer, dementia. I mean, you mentioned with your mom, look at heart disease. You're right. We're just pummeled, and the statistics are off the charts. And, you know, it's important for people to know that when glutathione levels are low, you know, you have joint pain, you have inflammation, you are tired, you're fatigued, you don't sleep well. I mean, there's just a malady of things, a plethora of things. So who really needs to be on Cellgevity? Who should be on it, Bruce?
Well, it's too easy to say everybody. So what I say is this. I say everybody that is concerned with all the things that you just mentioned, you're at no risk to try our product. You can't overdose on it. It's impossible. You can't get sick from it. And, you know, I watch some of these energy drinks out there, and a handful are linked to some of the deaths that are used today. Yeah. And I go, here's the deal. We've been around 7 years. We haven't had anybody die. We haven't had anybody get sick. We haven't had anybody go, this whole world turned on me. The only thing that we get that's a negative is sometimes you can take this product, and we talk about detoxification, where the cells go, we got all these toxins. Now we can dump them. We're dumping because glutathione is now doing our job that it hasn't been for years, and you can get lightheaded and feeling a little nauseous. That's a great, when people say that, I go, thank goodness that's going on, because you can tell that the product is working. That's not a negative. That's a very positive. It should be positive for the people that understand exactly what's taking place in their body when they try our product. And for that athletic market that is hooked on aspirin and painkillers, this is a great sigh of relief for them, to get rid of some of that chronic pain that they've had for years and years and years, and to not worry so much about the future, about, hey, what's going on? Because here's a great thing, Sheila, that I love about the Nagasawa group. This is just the cap. This is not the cap. This is just the beginning of the research and science and study of the human cell and how it responds and where we're going. And the things that they're coming down the road will absolutely blow you away.
Absolutely. Well, here's the other piece. So you've got this amazing product that gives people hope that, yes, they have some possibilities with their health. But there's another really interesting part of Max that I find interesting, especially in a time when you look around America and we have 1 out of 3 people right now that have no jobs. It's a serious problem in America right now when it comes to wealth. You know, every day I phone a company, it's, you know, I get some guy in Philippines that can barely answer my question because everything's being outsourced all over the place. But there's another really interesting part of this. Every day I say to people, you got to try this iPhone, or you got to try this iPad. We really do recommend products all the time, don't we? Talk about that a little bit.
Well, you know, I get this question all the time, especially when I'm standing in front of people that are very skeptic, and especially when it comes to a business portfolio or it comes to opening up traditional. Everyone wants to have traditional business. I said, well, there's nothing wrong. And why did you put it in this network marketing, multi-level marketing, direct sales? Why in the world, if you have a product that's that good, why would you stick it in that industry? And why
wouldn't you just throw it on the Walmart shelves in other ways?
I says, well, then you really don't get this industry. People are amazed at how long Avon's been around. This concept of direct selling or using a network to move a product or a service, when I ask people, I go, so you understand our industry. So how long do you think it's been around? When did this type of stuff to start? When did this type of industry or this type of way of product to end consumer, when did it start? People start throwing out numbers. 1960, 1970. I go, 1886. So you have to understand that this process of getting this product or service to the end consumer has been around a long time. This is nothing new. Now, have there been bad company? Sure, there's been bad companies. Have people gotten swindled or taken care of? Absolutely. No,
but I always say, Bruce, this is interesting. I always say if you eat in one bad restaurant, that doesn't mean you're not going to ever eat in another restaurant for the rest of your life.
You're correct. You're absolutely. There's not bad companies. They're just bad people. We have bad people in all walks of life, political, religious, crazy, nuts, out of control. So, I mean, yes, you're going to have some bad experience. That doesn't make the industry bad, especially doesn't make our company bad. Look, we're looking for some people to help us distribute this product in two markets. One, we have a lot of health professionals that are coming on board because the drugs right now just aren't working for them. There's too many side effects. People, they're not getting better. They're getting sick. They can't even cover up the problems anymore. So we offer them an alternative. They say, well, just try this and see what happens with your patients. Look at their health profile numbers and see if they change or not. See if they're getting better or not. What you're doing obviously isn't working. We have all this cancer and all this crap and all this stuff, and people are dying. It's not like, oh, hey, our system's working. Look at them all. Well, they're all dead. So I go, wait a minute, give them an alternative. And for my market, and I stay away from that market, again, because I didn't stay at the Holiday Inn last night, and also I'm not a doctor. So, but profession that I was associated with, these guys, absolutely, without question, you ask who should take it, everybody that plays sports. My daughter's 16. What she did for me was unbelievable. A little product of ATP. I come home with it. It was liquid. She tasted it. She hated it. It was awful. Tasted nasty. Smelled terrible. I made her throw it down her throat for 3 days. She had to hold her nose to take it. Then she didn't want it anymore. And she went to her practice 2 more days. She came back and knocked on my door. The third day of not being honest, she said, Dad, she goes, where's that icky stuff? I go, why? She goes, I noticed the last couple of days that I didn't take it. She says, I was slower. I wasn't as quick. I didn't respond. My hitting was off. She goes, maybe there's something in there that I should have. And she was 15 at the time. Now she's 16. She won't go to practice, a tournament. She lives. She even takes it when she studies. She's a straight A student. She says, Dad, I got to step kind of late. She goes, can I take some of that product? I said, yeah, absolutely. And she comes home the next day. She goes, man, recall focus. She goes, how'd you do? She goes, I did great. And so she says, and I don't tell her anything. I don't give her the science. I don't have to tell her what's in it. I don't have to explain to her how it works. She just knows that she feels better. And she's just 16. I said, Sydney, you're going to make a great distributor one day. And people frown on that. People frown on the way we make money, but it's okay. You know, you look at the average industry out there, and one of the companies out there in this industry just had ABC News investigative report go in there and sneak in cameras, and they said all these bad things about this company. And I go, wait a minute. I said, no, you put up your Rolls Royces and your jets and your big homes. And I said, wait. Isn't that what everybody wants to get to? These average people that go out there and earn big money in our industry, they took advantage of a great situation, moved a product or service through an organization that helped them distribute it. Everybody's getting paid. I mean, nobody gets paid equal money all the way across the board. Somebody's always got a boss who's got a boss who's got a boss who's got a manager who's got a president who's got a CEO who got investors. It just keeps going up, and the top guy always makes money. Why is our industry looked at so differently? Well, people fail at this all the time. They go, yeah, so? They fail at
well,
and
Christians have a big thing with all this prosperity stuff, but let me tell you something that I've learned. You can't help people, Bruce, when you're sick, tired, and broke.
No, you can't.
It's interesting because Robert Kiyosaki said one of the biggest investors, on the planet, says that, there's no job security, real estate and everything else fluctuates all the time. And he said if I could ever go back and redo it all over, I would absolutely, without question, promote networking. He said it is where it's at. The health and nutrition industry really is a surging industry, isn't it? They say by the year 2014, it's going to create more millionaires than any other profession on the planet.
Well, it's important to everybody that's on the planet. Who doesn't want good health? People that have good health sometimes take it for granted until it's taken away. People with money take it for granted until it's taken away. People that have never made money don't understand what money's all about. So you get jealousies out there all the time, and when you can't do it or can't have it, you try to take it away. That's become our culture. That's become the culture in which we live. If I can't have it, you can't either. That's not right. People have to be ambitious. People have to go out. T. Harv Eckert is awesome. He's a motivational speaker. I love what he said. He says, and I use this all the time when I make presentations in front of people, especially when I'm training some of the distributors. He said, look, this is hard. There's no question about it. And what he states is that in life, if you do only things that are easy, if you're only willing to do the things that are easy, he goes, life will be hard.
Yeah.
But if you're willing to do the things that are hard, life will be easy. And I'm trying to instill that into my daughter. I said, yes, volleyball, the practices, the time, the camps, the conditioning, the workout, that's hard. But if you want to be good, you want to be better than average, you have to do the hard. Everybody does the easy. Everybody. That's why they call it easy. Nobody wants to do the things that are hard. I love the movie A League of Their Own, and Tom Hanks is talking to his pitcher, and she wants to quit. She says, it got just too hard. He goes, it's supposed to be hard. The hard is what makes it great. What a great line for everything in life. People, we stop working. We stop committing. We want the government to take care of us. We want our parents to take care of us. We want society to take care of us. Bull, get off your butt. Go take care of yourself. Look in the mirror. The only person that's responsible for your success or no success in life is that person you look at right in that mirror, nobody else.
Yeah, but don't you get an iPhone if you go with Obama's iPhone thing? Yeah. But, here's the bottom line. I mean,
let's get everything for free.
Yeah, that's just it. Let's get everything for free. And we really have become a very dependent culture, because I know literally I have a friend, and her 37-year-old son still lives at home. And I said, why is this? Tell me this. Explain this to me. Because let's face it, my dad was out of there when he was 16, never looked back, worked for his whole life. And that is very prominent in a culture anywhere from the early 1950s right up until the 70s. But now we have a complete quantum paradigm shift, I think, Bruce, where you have all these kids saying, nobody can afford mortgages, nobody can afford houses, half of America is not working. 1 out of 3, there was a statistic on Drudge just yesterday, 1 out of 3 households is not working in the United States of America out of 331 million people. What does that tell you, Bruce?
Well, the problem with the United States is simply this. We're too multicultural. It's very difficult to get all the political people to get together and agree on anything. It's too difficult to get all the religious people together to agree on everything. We're so divided in our country that we can never stand together, ever, because it's too hard. We got people flooding into this country wanting to destroy it because of greed and jealousies, and you've had this run for too long and it's over. And they're going to come in. They're here for one purpose and one purpose only, is to bring it down. And what's the easiest way to bring it down? Bringing a culture that's so diverse you can never get them to operate together. They throw in racism. I hear racism all the time. I didn't even think about it. 2/3 of my friends in playing sports were black people. We got together. We had a ball. We didn't even consider it. And now you just say the wrong thing on a telephone call, you could lose everything of your livelihood. It's gotten so out of control. This politically correctness is destroying our culture. The other thing is there's no morals or values. We let the atheist group come in and just divide and conquer anything that they want to do. We take out any morals, they take out any values, any structure out of our home. Of course, then we take it out of the school system. Then we take it out of this place and that place. Before you know it, it's a lawless country. Guys up in Canada, when I go up all the time, they come out, you guys are violent. I go, well, sure we are. Well, why is that? Well, we got a bunch of violent people living in our country.
Yeah, but remember what Yamamoto said, the great naval commander for the Japanese. The reason they couldn't attack America was behind every blade of grass was a person with a gun. You have one thing that no one else has, and that's the Second Amendment.
Oh, and they're trying. And what's the first thing they go after? I find that amazing. I find that amazing. I mean, and I don't want to get political on you, but I find it amazing that you're going to go after what made our country the best. When they left Europe and they came over here and they started this. Yes, the Indians. They always say, oh, you guys, you took this country over. And yes, they did. There's no question. But they're trying to escape something. And what they try to do is build values, morals on a belief system that had values and morals. They put together a constitution. They put together a Bill of Rights, and they followed them. And to be honest with you, that's what drove our country and made it one of the most powerful on the planet. And now That's all trying to be taken away. That's all trying to be taken away. Well, why? Well,
because capitalism is bad, according to those megalomaniac Marxists. Capitalism is bad.
It's just bad for the people that don't agree with it. It's just like God is bad if you don't believe in God. All the things that go on in our society. And if you don't agree with it, then it's bad. And, it used to be our government was Democratic and Republican or conservative and liberal, but they always played in a gray area. They always kind of agreed. They always kind of tried to make it work. Yes, there's corruption, no question. Yes, there's still greedy people, no question. But at least they draw a line. No, you're right, I'm wrong, and that's it. And both parties are in the wrong deal. So we got a process to go with. So that's why I'm happy I'm with this company, because not only we don't have our own problems within our own company, but at the same time it's a great atmosphere to be in, because we are changing. This is kind of common phrase in our industry, which you change lives. We use a lot of catchphrases in this industry. All the companies do. This is one I really like what they got. They got something unique, something different. But not only did it work on me, I've seen it work on thousands of people now. And I see where it's heading. I see where it's going to go. I see the research. And it's such a great feeling to watch people come in who give you hugs, who high-five you. I come home and I'm full of makeup. I'm full of cologne. I'm full of everything, because everybody hugs each other. Everybody's happy. It's a great environment to work in. They want everybody to succeed. It's a real team. Yes, we still have individuals out there. Yes, we still have that mindset of person, hey, this is my deal. Leave me alone, and I'm going to do it my way. We're people. We're people. But for the most part, it's a great environment with some great studies, some great research, and some great results when people take the product. Not only that, we're building some income for people, teaching them if we can set the right expectation. Here's what's real key for our deal is EPT, expectation, process, and then there's the rewards.
Yeah.
I guess that's EPR. So EPRs, expectation, process, reward. We set the right expectation for what our product can do. We set the right expectation for what our business plan, if you want to choose and help us distribute this product, we can show you a plan of attack where you want to be 6 months, 10 months, 12 months. You can do it part-time, you can do it full-time. Not equal pay for everybody. No, that doesn't work, because some people are going to put in more hours than others, and that's going to be rewarded. And understand that it's a process to build a business. This is not get rich. This is not the lottery. This is hard work. It's steady work. And here's the thing. At Max, we only have 2 rules, Sheila. Number 1 is never quit. Yeah. Number 2, always, no matter what happens, remember rule number 1.
Well, it might sound cliche, but I'll tell you what. This product really does change lives and a person's health and their wealth. Personally, like I said, I've been on a lot of stuff, and I've never been on anything like it. Again, it might be cliche, but when you can help change someone's life, that's a pretty rewarding thing right there. It's not about the money and it's not about the accolades, but what it's about is really giving people the tools to empower themselves. And again, I always say, you cannot rage against a machine when you're sick, broke, tired, and obese. So, I just think that's really important. And Bruce, I want to thank you so much for coming on today and, sharing your incredible testimony. And again, the good, hard, solid years that you gave to the NFL. I mean, that takes its toll on the body. And football is so iconically Americana, and, I think that's incredible. You really did have an amazing career.
I urge you to try this product. Take the 90-day challenge like I did.
And
get yourself on a product that is in a league of its own. If you want to learn more about the product or the business, go to my website, weekendvigilante.com, click on the contact button, get a hold of me, and I'll be happy to assist you. Thanks again for listening to the Weekend Vigilante Show.